Good evening, gamers. Hope you enjoyed that little snippet of Yakuza Orchestra. Nothing gets me going like orchestral covers of video game music. But without further ado, let's finish up this case. Hope you're all doing good tonight. I went to the grocery store today, and it was insane. I'm glad to be back in my house. It was like everyone at the grocery store was either A, not wearing masks, or B, decided that they needed to park their carts right in front of where I needed to grab something off of the shelf and then stay there for like 5 minutes. Or both. Usually it was both. So I had a great time. Anyway, District Court Defendant Lobby number 1.
Good morning, Mr. Wright. Good morning, Maggie. So, what do you think is going to happen today, sir? Yesterday's session didn't go so well and ended on a giant mystery.
That's true. We still haven't solved a single part of it yet.
Are you okay, Nick?
Huh? Yeah, of course.
I saw that little flash of doubt in your eyes.
No, that wasn't doubt, that was, determination. You know, like Undertale.
Why don't I believe you? It's nearly time, Maggie. You better get going to the defendant's seat. Roger, don't let me down, Mr. Wright. I'm counting on you.
Hey, pal. Hey, Detective Gumshoe. Quit stressing Maggie out. She doesn't need that. How did you know she was stressed? I was watching through the doorway. You know, like a normal guy. Oh. You look like you lost the case already. Show a bit of confidence, will you, pal? Yeah, man, maybe this'll help.
Uh-huh. Have you taken up aromatherapy too?
Not in a million years, pal. Don't tell me you don't remember this thing. Huh. Come to think of it, that doesn't look like one of those aromatherapy bottles. Oh my god, come on, this was in your inventory yesterday! This is a small bottle that turned up in Trevian's kitchen a couple days ago.
Wow! Look at all these little bottles!
Oh, they're aromatherapy oils! He's got so many, they're overflowing onto the floor.
Hey, wait a minute! There's one bottle that's different from all the others.
Well, what do you know? And it doesn't have a label either.
And it doesn't smell.
We finally got the analysis results back from the lab.
So, what is it? Is it the poison?
I'm afraid not, pal. It's medication.
Medication?
Yeah, for ears. Hi, Kara. Thank you for arriving early and giving us advance notice of when you'll be attending. That's so incredibly polite of you. Topical use only, apparently. For ears? You mean... Yes, dude, like eardrums. Yeah, it's the medication Glenn Elg was using for his ruptured eardrum. What was Glenn Elg's ear medicine doing in the kitchen? Making the twin tea box, obviously. Alright, victim's ear medicine found covered in unidentified fingerprints in the kitchen. What about the unidentified fingerprints? Anything on that? Someone screwed up, so they only had time to analyze the contents of the bottle. Because otherwise, Furio Tigre, like, given his past, Furio Tigre's prints are most definitely in the system. So obviously they would show up if they tried to run a fingerprint match through CODIS, or whatever the Ace Attorney equivalent of CODIS is. But because that would make this trial over too quickly, we still don't know whose they are. Another hour and they might have gotten something on the prints, but... that's going to weaken its impact as a piece of evidence. Okay, pal. This is it. Make sure your defense is impregnable today. Got it? Here, I brought you some condoms, just in case. Today's trial. I'm gonna expose that guy for what he's done, or my name isn't Phoenix Wright. Court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Bird. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Ready and waiting as always, Your Honor. Very good. Then we'll get underway at once. Yesterday we heard the testimony of Mr. Victor Kudo. It provided nothing of relevance, so we'll just forget that portion ever happened. But he also claims to have witnessed the defendant putting a powder into the victim's coffee. However, the witness's testimony was plagued with a number of problems. The mark on the rim of the cup shows the victim drank from it with his right hand. But according to the old man's testimony, he picked it up with his left hand. Thank you, Mr. Godot. Furthermore, according to the witness's account, the victim was listening to the radio with an earpiece in his left ear. Yet, the victim's left eardrum was ruptured, which made him effectively deaf in that ear.
It's amazing how many contradictions a single case can have, huh, Nick?
Allow me to enlighten you, Your Honor. The world, you see, keeps turning, and we must turn with it. You've lost me already, Mr. Godot. Yep, okay, yeah, first cup of the section. Don't let the mysteries of yesterday mystify you today. But Mr. Godot, this is a court of law. We absolutely must keep in mind the mysteries of earlier in this case. Only losers think like that. You've got to change with the times. That's one of my rules. Are you implying that you've resolved these contradictions? You know the answers to these riddles? The old guy wasn't just throwing seed in here. He was throwing us off the scent. And today I'll prove it. Very well. Let the first witness take the stand. Who is the first? Oh, yay! Okay, more of the French guy. And you are... Oh, bonjour, everyone! I am Jean Armstrong, the owner and head chef of La Turnabout restaurant. Enchanté! Forgive me for asking, witness, but... are you single? Oh la la, monsieur! As you can see, I am la pert and perky gentleman, no? On the day of the incident, you were in Travian's kitchen. Isn't that right? Who is you, monsieur? Huh? Everything feels right. Oh my god, is someone gonna flirt with Godot every case in this game? Oh hey, number 2. He's going through them fast. Wow, he's totally unfazed. Doesn't anything intimidate this guy? It's like, no, I'm used to men throwing themselves at me. Very well. Your testimony, please, witness. Please tell the court what happened that day at Très Bien. Oui, volontiers. Shit, I mean, I can get the gist of that word, but I don't think I'm pronouncing it correctly. When it all happened, there were just 2 customers in my restaurant. I remember I was experimenting with some new art decors that day. Like having a large mirror between the tables, for example. Perhaps that is what the old man was looking at. La carte, la earpiece, and la glasses. He would have seen everything in reverse, no? Mirror? Well, un gran mirror, la most enormous mirror. And suddenly, the mystery disappears. Like I said, the world keeps turning, so roll with it. That would explain the coffee cup and the earpiece conundrum. The mirror would have made everything appear back to front. What the heck? It's way too early in the morning for this to be happening to me. Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Okay, 2 customers. Perhaps the cup, the earpiece, and the glasses would have seen everything in reverse. So that is to say the other guy was Glenn Elg.
Objection!
The coffee cup, the earpiece, and the HMD. Let's think back over Mr. Kudo's testimony for a second, shall we? The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side of the green lines as his specs. No question. You can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear, without a doubt. So, to summarize, we were told both the HMD and the earpiece were on the victim's left side. Now, if Mr. Kudo saw that as a reflection in a mirror, it means both the HMD and the earpiece were actually on the victim's right side. Exactement! You see, monsieur, now that you think about it, it is not so hard, no? Unfortunately, that's where we run into a monumental contradiction with the facts. If Mr. Kudo really did see everything in a mirror, why is it that the HMD is now on the wrong side of his head? Order! Mr. Wright is correct. If the witness genuinely observed the victim reflected in a mirror, then we would expect the victim's eyepiece to have been over his right eye.
Objection!
Ooh, number 3. How bitter. That's right. You should have a taste of this bitterness. It'll calm you down in no time. Are we talking about your coffee? Or something completely different? Like your balls? You don't understand the way the witness thinks. How he thinks? You remember this, I presume? The I broke the vase, sorry, apology letter. I mean, Mr. Kudo's sworn testimony? Exactly. The old man has one very grievous habit, other than throwing seeds. The more of an impression something makes, the more muddled his mind makes it. And what's the most striking thing about Mr. Elg? Clearly, it's the victim's eyepiece. And that's my point. The old man strikes again. Mr. Elg's HMD made a big impression on the old man. Number 4, Jesus! I saw the earpiece and those newfangled spectacles he was wearing. Oh yes, they were both on his left ear. Do you hear? His left ear. Well, Trite. That's the worst but best impression of Kudo ever.
Wow! I really thought he was old Seedy for a minute there. Godot was good.
I guess I should have made a better attempt at impersonating Kudo. Enough! I must agree that yesterday's witness was irresponsibly rash in much of his testimony. But he was a man, and that's the only reason I'm being harsh on him. If a woman lies to this court, it's all right with me.
Bad luck, Nick. Looks like the boil of a contradiction you found is just a rash.
A mirror can't be beaten by a handful of seeds, nor can it lie. So, what exactly was the old man looking at? Fill us in, Mr. Armstrong. Go on. Tell the court. We're all ears. I can explain. Please, if you will look at la plans of le restaurant. Alors, is everyone sitting comfortably? La mirror, it was in the middle of the restaurant, dividing the two halves. There is only one seat from which you could have seen an image of la victim. That was la seat at the table next to la victim's. That was where the old man was sitting. After la terrible incident occurred, I moved la mirror so it was not in the way. But naturally, I did not touch anything else. I see no problems with the explanation we have just heard. From the table next to the victims, Mr. Kudo could have seen the victim in the mirror. What a naughty little coquette I am, confusing all the men like this. Sir, please control yourself. Don't worry about it. We can keep up, except for the guy breaking out in a cold sweat over there again. I hate that guy. You said you didn't touch anything else apart from the mirror. Are you quite sure about that? A volunteer, of course. Very well, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination, if you please. Okay. Seat at the table next to the victims. But let's look at the crime photo. Because Kudo said he knocked over his flower vase, but the table next to the victims also has an upright flower vase if you look at the far left corner. So, let's pull that up, my boy. This piece of evidence contradicts with the testimony we have heard, Your Honor. The crime photo? Yes, this photo clearly shows something that theoretically should not exist. What on earth do you mean by that, Mr. Wright? Should not exist? Sounds like you're describing yourself, Trite. Now then, if the defense would please clarify its statement. What is the something that should not exist in this photo? It's the flower vase. I think it's pretty obvious that this is what should not be in the picture. The vase? What possible connection does that have with this witness's testimony? Your Honor, I'm telling you that there should have been no vase on this table. Because it very clearly contradicts with this piece of evidence. Yeah, where's his apology note? I broke the vase at my seat. Yeah, that one. There's one thing that was clearly demonstrated by yesterday's testimony. Mr. Kudo broke the vase that was on the table where he was sitting. And yet, as the court can see, there is an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. Why? Because Mr. Kudo was not, in fact, sitting at the table next to the victim at all.
Objection!
Don't be an idiot, Trite. That's impossible. That seat's the only one where Kudo could have seen the victim's reflection for a moment. Exactly! There's only one conclusion we can draw from this contradiction. There was no mirror in Trabia on that day. Your testimony, Mr. Armstrong, is an elaborate lie. Mon Dieu!
Objection!
Don't try to confuse the court, Trite. Obviously, the witness cleaned up the case while the police were taking their time getting to the crime scene. Unfortunately, Mr. Godot, that doesn't quite work for me. Mr. Armstrong already testified to the contrary. In his own words, I did not touch anything else except the mirror. Oh, yeah, chug a lug, baby. Well, witness, what do you have to say for yourself? Was that still number 4, or does that bring us to number 5? If you just chug that coffee real fast. I was right. There was no mirror in the restaurant that day. In light of this revelation, we return back to the original problem. Why did the victim have an earpiece in an ear in which he could not hear? You only get one shot in life. There's no turning back. If you want to claim that the mirror wasn't there, try it. Then this problem is all yours. How do you explain what the old man saw? If I can answer this, then I'll be that much closer to the truth. I can feel it.
Are you going to be okay?
Hi, Kara.
Can you really solve this contradiction, Nick?
There's more than just this one contradiction, Maya.
What do you mean?
Remember what Maggie told us? There was another man at the victim's table. And there was a sample CD on the victim's table. It all flies in the face of Mr. Kudo's testimony. And I think I know the reason why nothing in this case is adding up. Well, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer. Yes, Your Honor. The reason behind all the contradictions in Mr. Kudo's testimony is simple. The victim was a phony. This case is riddled with contradictions. Just like the honorable prosecutor is riddled with herpes. Yet there is one very simple answer that clears them all up. And what is that? The incident Mr. Kudo witnessed, and the incident the victim experienced, were two completely different events. What? Yes, the victim that Mr. Kudo saw wasn't Mr. Glenn Elg at all. It was an imposter. Motherfucker. A sussy baka pretending to be Mr. Elg. Obviously, unlike the victim, there was nothing wrong with the imposter's left eardrum. I still don't have a sus command, that's a pup line one. That's how he ended up wearing the earpiece in his left ear by mistake. Number 6? Okay, I like how he took a sip of his coffee just to spit it back out again. Settle down, or I'll clear the courtroom. Quiet, Gramps. Why don't you clear out of here, huh? What did you say? Trite, are you saying that what Mr. Kudo saw was a setup? Yes. Someone pretended to be Mr. Glenn Elg and acted out the whole coffee poisoning. All for the express purpose of creating a witness out of one Mr. Victor Kudo. Objection! Get real, Trite. Why would anyone want to do that? Isn't it obvious? The thing Mr. Kudo was most consistent about in his testimony was... the serving girl brought him a Javachino, but she put something in it. That's the serving girl right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well. It's so hard to believe, but... Come on, Judge, this is hardly the craziest thing to have happened in the in the courtroom with me. There was one and only one reason to show Mr. Kudo this fake poisoning. To show Maggie Bird in the act of poisoning the coffee. Are you insinuating that the waitress in the old man's story was a fake as well? It's true that there were no other customers in the restaurant at the time, but... It's also true that the chef was there. He would have noticed what was happening. That's right! Well, witness, if your restaurant really was the scene of such theatrics, you would have known about it, correct? Ooh la la! This is most difficult for me. No, actually, apartment complex? I find it quite simple. All you have to do is testify. You are under oath, after all. Was there, in fact, a phony at Très Bien that day? The defense demands that Mr. Armstrong tell the whole truth about what happened. The defense's request for additional testimony is accepted. You will accurately explain, in detail, the events in the restaurant that day. Oui. La victime, Monsieur Helg, came to my restaurant alone. I remember the old man arrived not long after him. There were no other customers. When he got word he won the lottery, Monsieur Helg became very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later that the poisoning incident occurred. No, there was no time for a phony to do the acting. Just so we're clear, there was no mirror in the restaurant, after all. Je vous demande pardon! Forgive me, Your Honor. I lied because I wanted this mess to be cleared up quickly. What you have just done is commit perjury, Mr. Armstrong. Something that I only punish men for, apparently. I will decide how to punish you later. Oui. Okay, succulent stream chat. Vote now on your phone how old do you think Kato is? I don't know, I pegged him as like mid-30s, yeah. Okay, before you all run away with the whole like pegged him comment, he would. Actually, wait, can we check his age, or is it still like question mark? Oh, it's question mark. Yeah, I would still hypothesize that he's, yeah, like 32, 35. Somewhere in that range. For now, we will hear your cross-examination. Mr. Wright, if you please. He took that perjury charge a bit too well. I'm guessing he'll be in more serious trouble after this cross-examination. Alright, so the old man arrived not long after him. By old man, you mean Victor Kudo, correct? Oui, it comes in often for my special coffee. I drank your coffee once, Mr. Armstrong. It's special, I'll give you that. It's worth a sip just for the experience. Oh, you make me so happy, monsieur. You are most welcome anytime. I said it was worth one sip, and nothing more. So old Mr. Kudo arrived at the restaurant around the same time as the victim. Maybe I should ask about his arrival in more detail. How many minutes after? Because the lottery winning is at the lottery broadcast is at a specific time every day. So he has a very narrow window in which to arrive and then witness dude winning the lottery. So you're saying that not much time elapsed between when the victim and Mr. Kudo arrived? Oui, that is correct. But that still leaves the possibility that something happened in that gap of time. And by your recollection, how much time would you say elapsed? Let me see, approximately 2 minutes, I would say. 2 minutes? That's all?
It seems unlikely that anything untoward could have happened in such a short time.
Rats! You know I shouldn't have pursued this line of questioning. I should have gone a different direction with that. So let's repeat that. Okay, what time precisely? Out of curiosity, about what time was it when Mr. Kudo arrived? Oh, no, I cannot remember, monsieur.
I believe we were told by a witness yesterday.
The crime was reported at 2:25 p.m. by a kind of scary old man, sir.
Does that perhaps jog your memory, witness?
The incident happened about 20 minutes after he arrived. So the victim must have arrived between 2 p.m. and 2:10 p.m., no? Just after 2, huh? Thank you for your help in jogging my memory, monsieur. You are wonderful.
I can't sit here all the time and do nothing now, can I? The time of day will be added to the witness's testimony.
Oui, monsieur judge. Everything I do it for you.
Merci bien. That's French, isn't it?
I'm glad that at least one person is in a good mood.
He's even humming a song to himself.
Okay, he arrived just after 2 p.m. But it looks like the broadcast is at... Shit, which one is it? Shit, where's the flyer for the lottery? Armstrong's sprite really doesn't look good for a master. I am inclined to agree. Okay. Every Monday at 1:30. I'm afraid I finally got you, Mr. Armstrong. Quoi? What do you mean? At the time in question, the victim was listening to the radio with his earpiece. The show he was listening to was Millionaire Radio. Each week, they announced the winning numbers of the $500,000 lottery ticket. Oui, that must be the show Monsieur Elg was listening to.
I can't see any problem with this testimony, Mr. Wright.
I wonder. Question mark? You say the victim arrived at your restaurant after 2 p.m., correct? Oui, I am sure of it. I remember it perfectly now. I know it was that time because I had just finished serving the lunch menu. Get to the point, try it, if you have. That show was broadcast live at 1:30 p.m. and it claims to be the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life.
It's on the air at 1:30.
Now, supposedly, the victim made some noise when it was announced that he had won. And yet, I don't believe his cry of joy could have occurred after 2 p.m. Because the show had already finished more than 30 minutes earlier by that point in time. No! He exclaimed in French. This victim we've been told about has done nothing but the impossible. Listening to the radio with a ruptured eardrum. Catching a show that was already over. There's only one conclusion you can draw from these facts. This victim was an imposter acting out the poisoning 30 minutes after the real murder. Yes, there were two Glen Elgs in Trevian that day. The real Glen Elg, now dead, having been poisoned by the real killer, and the phony Glen Elg acting out the events for Mr. Kudo to witness.
It certainly seems that way. I mean, if that wasn't the case, how could you explain the time discrepancy?
Objection! Quite a performance, Trey. You are almost on a roll. Sadly, you lack the rock-hard foundation of rhythm to build your song. You really just wanted an excuse to say rock-hard, didn't you? Like, okay, clavier. No, wait, his name's German, not French. Like, okay, clavier, 7 years too early. What is this? Music Theory 101? Let's recap. According to your imaginative theory, it's now just after 2 p.m. The phony Elg is performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. No, Clavier is 17 right now, actually, because he's gonna have his debut case against Mr. Right here in April, May? Just a few months, but this year. The phony Elg is performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. Yeah, 17's middle school. How do you explain, then, where the real Glen Elg is? I don't believe I have to spell this out for the court! However, at that time, the real Glen Elg was already dead. That's certainly the obvious conclusion. Thank you, Tribe. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say. What? Now, I presume you can prove this theory of yours? Can you explain where the missing corpse went to? The missing corpse? According to the old man's testimony, there was only one other customer there. If that customer was the phony Glen Elg, then where did the killer hide the body of the real victim? No! He said, exclaiming in Australian. The prosecution has a valid point, Mr. Wright. If your theory is to stand up to examination by the court, you must provide us with proof by answering the prosecution's question. Where did the killer hide the body? Yes, Your Honor. No conjecture, Trite. Let's hear some facts for once. Show the court a piece of evidence that proves where the body was hidden. Evidence?
What's with the intense pressure in here all of a sudden?
I thought I had him with that contradiction. But he's turned it all around and backed me into a corner instead. My god, how does he know the turnabout theory as well? Well, Mr. Wright, the court will now hear the defense's theory and evidence. First, where was the body of the real Mr. Elg concealed? Inside the restaurant. He was turned into Wheaties, I think. Oh no. Gumshoe's Wheatie boxes, people! It would have been too dangerous to take a body outside. Now, obviously, the body must have been hidden somewhere inside Très Bien. Interesting. But where could a body have been hidden inside a restaurant? In my belly, that's where. Perhaps you would care to show the court on these plans, Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor. The exact location where the body was concealed inside Très Bien was in the kitchen. Take that! Okay, yeah, can I get some Zavaris in chat? The body was hidden here.
Zavari.
I see. Nice supposition. The real question is, can you back it up? And also, if you back it up, is it fat enough? Where's the evidence that proves the body was hidden in that location? It is the fact that his ear medicine was in the kitchen. Take that! Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize this bottle? No! I have never seen that ugly bottle before in my life. I only use the very best bottles, monsieur. The highest quality only for me. Where was that bottle found, Mr. Wright? Interestingly enough, Your Honor, it was found in the kitchen of Très Bien. Quoi? But I only ever use these bottles for my aromatherapy oils. But this bottle doesn't contain aromatherapy oil, Mr. Armstrong. No, it contains a medication. What kind of medication? Is it ketamine? Because I'm really jonesing right now. This trial has me falling asleep. I'm sure everyone remembers, don't they? That Mr. L visited a fucking ear doctor and was given medication that day. You can't be serious. The defense had the contents of the bottle analyzed, and I have the lab results here. The contents of the bottle matched the prescription that was given to Mr. L. Okay, whatever noise that just was. Glenn Elg's murderer hid the body in the restaurant kitchen, at which time this bottle fell out of the victim's pocket. Mr. Armstrong, when the incident occurred, didn't you say you were in the kitchen? Mon Dieu! Yes, you know what I'm about to say. It was you who hid the victim's body. You did a fine job pretending to defend my client, Maggie Bird. However, you were setting her up to take the fall behind the poor girl's back. No! This is an extraordinary development. Witness, did you murder Mr. Glenn Elg? Never! I could not do such an horrible thing. But I could help the guy who did. Sir? Are you fucking okay? Mr. Godot! Good heavens! Bitterness. Every time I get lied to, I always down a mug of coffee. That's one of my rules. Do you have the slightest idea how many cups you've had by now? I think it's 6? Or... no, 6, not 7. Definitely 6. It's 5. Never mind. And then I like to do the same for the person that's lied to me. I like to take them down with my empty cup. Listen up, chef. How about a brand new flavor in your ear, my H-deficient friend? Je vous demande pardon. Please, you must hear me out. H? It is a trap. Listen to me, por favor. Sir, that's Spanish. Yo hablo español, Mr. Armstrong, and por favor is Spanish. I'm only going to ask you once. Did you do it? No, absolutely not. I simply... The post where someone accidentally kicked a soccer ball into someone's mouth and mashed together, "Are you okay?" and "I'm so fucking sorry" into "Are you fucking sorry?" sounds like something Godot would do. Honestly, like, I could see that happening to Apollo also. I simply... Let's hear it. You've got one shot. Right, Gramps? Witness, the court will permit you the chance to make one final statement. If you lie under oath again, Mr. Godot's coffee mug awaits you. As does my gavel. Wait. It is clear. What do they always say in movies? Zoink, Scoob, I got a bad feeling about this. Very well. Very well. Begin your final testimony, Mr. Armstrong. It is true. I eat la body in la kitchen. A man forced me to do it. I had no choice. I had to go along with him because there was a reason why I could not refuse. But I did not kill him, I swear it. You must believe me. You were forced? By who? I cannot say, or I will be erased. Let's try a different question then. When Mr. Elk died, was he really the only person at the table? There was another man. I knew it.
Maggie was telling the truth.
No shit. You may cross-examine the witness now, Mr. Wright. There's just one more thing I need to do. I gotta break this guy and get him to tell us the name of the real killer. Keep the body in the kitchen. A man forced me to do it. Hey, was it this man? Let's end this dance of Ring Around the Rosie, Mr. Armstrong. This is the man that you've been referring to. Who is that? I feel like I have seen him somewhere before. Oh, I don't know. Maybe a month ago in this very courtroom? This man is Furio Tigre. He's the manager of a loan office called Tender Lender. There's no point in trying to hide the truth anymore, Mr. Armstrong. I know you couldn't go against Mr. Tigre, at least not while he had this on you. The loan contract? There we go. A $500,000 loan from a black market loan shark. And you had no way of paying it back, did you? That's why you were forced to do anything this man told you. Oui, it is as you say. Mr. Armstrong, La Tiger, he told me he was going to use my restaurant for a business rendezvous. On the day in question, he was meeting my victim to demand that he repay his loan. I don't know why it happened like that. I just did what he told me to do. I had no choice. I carried La Body and La Inconscient Maggie out of the dining area and into the kitchen. After that, I just tried to forget what I had seen. I think we can now safely say that the man who forced your hand was Mr. Furio Tigre. I do have one further question for you, Mr. Armstrong. The poison and the lottery ticket that were found in the defendant's apron pocket, was that your doing as well? No, I knew nothing about that. Making it look like it was Maggie who had done it, I was not. It is despicable. Mr. Godot, you will summon Miss Furio Tigre as a witness. I doubt that can be arranged today, so we will adjourn for now. Proceedings will continue tomorrow. "30 minutes. What? The trial will go on. I'll see to it myself. I need half an hour to get that guy on the stand. Not a minute more. How the... Don't sit back and relax yet, Tripe. No one knows if that chef is really telling the truth or not. This trial could still go either way. Very well, your request is granted, Mr. Godot. We will resume once Mr. Tigre is ready to take the stand. Until then, court is adjourned for a 30-minute recess. as is the stream, for like a 3-minute recess. Just really fast so I can pee. Alright. I will be right back.
Safari.
Alright, I'm back. I'm ready. Let's finish this thing out. Gonna save again just because I can't remember if I saved or not.
So we're finally going to see the tiger on the stand. We've almost got this case won now, Nick.
I did what? I went to the bathroom? Yeah, that's why we had a recess. I don't really know what you're referring to. Oh, okay, now that I look at the chat history, I understand now. I wish I could agree.
Huh?
When I cross-examined Mr. Armstrong just now, he said he was just doing what the tiger told him to do. But Godot picked up on it, remember? No, okay, okay, one, I would never shit while I was on stream. Like, even as, like, a intermission. Two, if I had been shitting, like, if I had to shit while I was on stream, I would be gone a lot longer. He pointed out that that without proof, we don't know if what he testified is the truth.
You mean, you think Mr. Armstrong was lying?
I don't know. But if that's the line the prosecution takes, we could be in trouble. I get the feeling that we don't have the case-making evidence we're going to need. Hey, pal! Speaking of case-making evidence... Detective Gumshoe!
What are you so jumpy about, Detective? Your hair's standing on end.
Hey! It's the pot calling the kettle black, little Miss Tapknot.
It's not a top knot!
Never mind about the hair, just calm down, alright? I can't stand still when I still have a job to do. I kind of get wound up. No kidding. You gotta have something you need me to do, pal. Anything. Well, hey, I'm gonna take a jog back down to the precinct. I could get some prints analyzed for you if you've got an hour. An hour? The trial will have reconvened by then.
But Nick, we still don't have a really decisive piece of evidence, right?
True. Without some kind of trump card to pull out of the bag, we're really stuck. You said you could get some fingerprint analysis done in an hour? You bet! In that case, would you mind checking the prints on this for me? You know, the thing that we specifically don't have we have unidentified fingerprints on? If you're going back to the station anyway, could you find out whose prints are on this? Oh, hey! That's the small bottle I gave back to you this morning, right? Yeah, I think it's time we solved the last mystery of who the prints on it belong to. Sure thing, pal. Actually, that's been gnawed at me too. Small bottle given to Detective Gumshoe, lovingly. Okay, I'll get this off to the lab right away. Just make sure you don't lose the case before I get back. This is pretty much the final showdown, I guess.
It's time to separate the phonies from the real guys. It's time to separate the imposters from the crewmates.
It will now reconvene. Mr. Godot, did you find this Furio Tigre? I even tamed him for you. It was a 3-cup job. No problem. So, 9... And that makes this one number 10. Tamed him? The guy's name may be Furio Tigre, but come on! He's pretty lively. And be careful. He still bites. Very well. Please show Mr. Tigre to the stand. My god, you are orange. Witness, please state your name and I have... Never mind. Ah! Don't hide under the table, Maya. Unless there's room for me down there, too. What'd you say to me? Nothing, I didn't say nothing, honest. Who could have guessed that fear would induce a bad Brooklyn accent in the judge. I got business to take care of, you hear me? So who the hell called me into this hole? Hole? Was it you, Spiky? No, of course not. It was the judge. Your Honor? Oh dear, I seem to have dropped my pen. Where on earth is it? No, don't mind me. Just carry on with the proceedings as normal. That's it. We're doomed. Maybe you didn't hear me. I said, who the hell was it that called me in here? There's no need to shout. We can all hear you. What'd you say? There's no point in struggling. You're caught in a snare. The relentless snare of the law. I'm the trash man. And I'm the one that holds you in. Grr. Too cool.
Don't let him get the better of you, Nick!
Let's start with the basics. You know about the incident in question, correct? Incident? I don't know nothing about no stinking incident, mask boy. You mean you didn't attend the previous trial of Maggie Bird? Maggie who? I've got more important things to do than watch courtroom dramas. Of course. Well, perhaps you could give us your testimony then? Me pretty please? Please tell us what you did on the day of the murder. Phoenix, right? You was the one who set this up, didn't you? Hey, fellas, I'm a man, cheat around. You's gonna regret the day you ruffled the tiger's fur. You hear what I'm saying? Gulp! Maybe I should have brought a diaper with me today. Phoenix, I think you should have worn your brown pants, my friend.
Get a grip, Nick!
I don't know nothing about no murder. I was tied up with business in December last year. Spent all of my time in my office. I got whales lined up to borrow cash from Tender Lender every single day. You just want to check my alibi? Just ask Violetta. That's not even her fucking name. Aha! At last, I found my pen. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination. What is it? Please, witness, if you could refrain from shouting out like that. I know the kind of games that guy in blue plays. That lowlife ain't no lawyer. He just punches away at stupid details till he wins. Lowlife? Me? Listen up, smarty. Every time you ask me something that doesn't relate to this case, I'm gonna bill you $50,000. And you's gonna borrow the cash from me. That's one loan contract I refuse to sign. And don't think it ain't gonna hurt when you tangle with the tiger. I love a good spectator sport. Just a minute, that's really not... This witness is... How can I put it? A hungry tiger roaming the urban jungle. Get on his bad side, and he'll bite everyone's heads off. Yours, too. Very well. I have no choice but to impose a penalty system here. Yous better be listening. I said I got business to take care of. Big business. If I don't split now, I ain't gonna catch my bus. The court will impose a penalty for any irrelevant pressing of witness testimony. Oh, shit. Keep that in mind as you begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor.
You can do it, Nick! I'm just gonna stay down here while it's safe.
Come out from under there already, would you, Maya? I don't know nothing about no murder. Okay, what was your business in December? Are you sure about that? We're talking about 1 month ago, you know. You see these teeth? That's how sharp my secretary is. Sharp? Is he talking about Viola Cadaverini? She writes everything in my scheduler. December. Mainly in the office. That's what it says! So that's where I was. That seems like a rather, a sketchy schedule. There he goes again. What the tiger did all December isn't the issue. What's important is what he was doing on the day of the murder. So, now what? Only choice is to press harder. What do you want? If you wouldn't mind going into a bit more detail. This is a dead-end trite, and you know it. Remember the rules. No! I don't remember the rules. I won't remember them. It's essential that we establish the witness's alibi accurately. I agree. The victim was killed on December 3rd. Were you in the office that day too? Maybe you say listening. Of course I was. I never set foot outside. I had meetings all day with a bunch of cats wanting to do business with me. Okay, just because of his whole motif, I'm picturing, like, literally a bunch of just, like, alley cats. Just, like, hanging around his office, and he's just, like, petting all of them and feeding them. That's why they keep coming back to do business with him, because they know he feeds them. He's just been feeding stray cats. That's what he was tied up with all of December. I ain't never seen that young kid before. I do believe the witness's last statement was important. Mr. Godot, if you could please... Mr. Tigre, the court asks you to add that last statement to your testimony. Don't let an animal beat you. Be a man, Your Honor, and ask him yourself. The day you was talking about, I was in the office too. I never saw that kid before. Oh, but why does he have why does he have a meeting scheduled with you? Mr. Tigre, you claim you didn't know Mr. Glenn Elg, but it appears that Mr. Elg knew you. Can't do overtime tonight, Viola. It's game night with the boys. Holding a catnip SWAT toy. Like, yelling. I gotta go. It's, the Poppy Bowl is on, and a lot of my guys are in the Kitty halftime show. I gotta support them. What? Mr. Elg left this little note on his calendar. Meet with the tiger. And the date? December 3rd. December 3rd? Did I hear you correctly, Mr. Wright? The date was December 3rd. That's December 3rd, the day of the murder. Oh my god, that's calendar. I believe it was custom made. I don't really think you get that in the shops nowadays. It had to have been custom made. So, Mr. Tigre, I submit that you did indeed know one Mr. Glenn Elk. Because on the very day of the incident, you met with him. December 3rd? That means it was almost Christmas, which means it wasn't Christmas. Not bad. He was actually not bad. Sorry? I was just messing with you to see how good you were.
Did you hear that, Nick? He said you're not bad.
That's one compliment I can do without. Plus, he's lying through his teeth. Witness, please remember that you're under oath. Lies will not be tolerated. You's calling me a liar? Is that what you're doing? Well, I ain't calling you a truther. So you're saying that your client... my bad. So you're saying that your claim to have never seen that kid before is the truth? I said I'm dead serious! Just like that elk guy. You's better believe that's the truth. I'd say that gives me time to enjoy another cup of pure black magic. Yummy, yummy coffee tasty. That is, while you testify for the court again, Mr. Tigre. Oh, yes! Would you mind indulging the court, witness? You never actually met the victim? That's gotta be a lie right there! It's time I nailed this guy. Verbally, in court, not physically. It's time I nailed degenerates like you to a cross. I ain't no liar. I never met Glen Elk. And it was some lame guy with that name, though, who wanted to borrow cash from me. I set up a meeting with the guy at my office, 10 to Linda. I waited around for him, but he ain't never showed. I ain't never even been to that Trabian joint, you hear? You was here? My bad. I see. That all seems perfectly logical, even though you, for some reason, you put a suspiciously specific denial that wasn't really called for in answering the question. You would arrange to meet with the victim, but he didn't show up. I've heard it's pretty hard to keep appointments when you're dead. Boo! Very well, you may begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. Didn't I tell you I got a big deal going down today? I ain't gonna make my bus now. I'm gonna have to take the express train. That bill's going straight to you, right? Okay. So, everything's fine. This is like a normal answer to this question. And then the last second he's like, oh, by the way, I've never even been to that restaurant. Like, dude, if you would just shut the fuck up, I wouldn't have anything on you. Mr. Tigre, is there something you'd like to tell the court about these matches that I found in your office yesterday? Matches? What you was talking about? We found them in your office at Tender Lender. They're from that restaurant. If you've really never been to Trabian before, what was a book of the restaurant's matches doing on your desk? You've been snooping around in my stuff now too, wise guy. What are you, my ball and chain? Ain't no broad controlling me. I see. Well, witness, I think it's time you started telling us the truth, don't you? Sorry, I'm terribly sorry. Forgive me. I ain't no pussycat. I don't go back on what I said. But okay. I was at the joint that day. What? But listen good, alright? I might have been there, but I still never met that kid. Well, well. Looks like an order just came in for another testimony. I'm this close to proving it was him. He did meet Glen Elk that day, and he did put poison in his coffee. He must have. I was supposed to meet with the kid at the restaurant that afternoon. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene, I said with a grin. That guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split. I heard the cops' sirens on my way out, and I went straight back to my office. I see. You didn't actually meet with him in the end, then. Well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please. Yes, Your Honor. Hold it! If I wait around here any longer, I ain't even gonna make the normal express. No more stupid questions. No problem. Anytime Trite presses you on something irrelevant, I'll see he pays a penalty. But Mr. Godot, that's my job. Your job is to slam that little hammer of yours and call a guilty verdict. So do it. Yes, sir. The Special Express ain't cheap, right? Just so yous know, since yous payin'. Oh man, doesn't the rule of law mean anything around here? I was supposed to meet with the kid at the restaurant. When I opened the door, I saw one ugly scene. Let's look at the floor plans and see if that actually holds up. Thank you for that. Okay, so he's saying, when I open the door, in the top right here, he immediately sees an ugly scene. But no, you'd have to walk around some ways just to be able to see the victim's table. So, I'm gonna have to say, respectfully, that's bullshit. You're something of a loan-collecting pro, aren't you, Mr. Tigre? No one escapes the tiger's clutches. Well, I'm something of a lie-detecting pro. Hey, that's a lot less funny now. And no one escapes the Phoenix's clutches. I think it's time we got something straight. What's this, Trite? A new line of irrelevant questioning? These are the floor plans of the crime scene. You say you were standing at the entrance, Mr. Tigre? Or from there, your field of vision would have covered an area something like this. Indeed, the witness would have had a clear view of the victim's seat. Isn't that what I just said? I saw the back of the kid's head. Unfortunately for you, that is not possible. If the court would think back, you'll remember that between each of the tables is a tall partition. Why, that's true! Now look at the plans again. The truth is painfully obvious. From the entrance, the field of vision of any customer walking in ends here. Oh, you're looking a little bit sweaty there, Mr. Tigre. So, from the entrance of Trebien, you couldn't have seen the victim's seat. But you did see the victim that day, because you met with him.
Objection!
He's so sweaty and so fucking orange. Wrong. Have you forgotten the old man's testimony yesterday? The victim was alone at his table. He's gonna sweat his tanner off. He's gonna end up looking like that fucking picture of Rudy Giuliani where, like, whatever, like, touch-up hair dye he had used, he had, like, sweat off of his stupid shiny head. But the feds just proved that point to be moot. The victim witnessed by Mr. Kudo was not Glenn Elk, but a fake. What? In order to have Mr. Kudo falsely testify, the real killer posed the victim he had just killed and acted out a charade. A charade, if you will. That will do. This trial has gone on long enough without the obvious question being answered. Who exactly was this real killer who impersonated the victim? Exclamation point. You say the killer murdered Glenn Elk, and then impersonated his victim in a performance for Victor Kudo. In that case, Mr. Wright, reveal the identity of this criminal to the court. God, finally. Right here, Your Honor. Obviously, the killer is Furio Tigre. No one else could have done it. What? Well, witness? Now that's cute. You think you could pin this on the tiger? Maybe you don't understand. The tiger is king of the jungle. So I dare you to say it again! Come on! You got the guts! You can't threaten me, Mr. Tigray! It's the defense! Go ahead and kill the witness, Mr. Wright! Mr. Wright? Sounds to me like it must be you, old man. You've got guts, I'll give you that. Mr. Wright, do not leave me to handle this alone! Perhaps I can end this embarrassment. Mr. Godot! Please help me. Let's just go back over Mr. Kudo's testimony one more time. The old man didn't just see the victim. Oh, no. Yeah, number 13! We're closing on your self-imposed limit, Mr. Godot. And serving girl brought him a Javachino, but she put something in it. There's no question about it, she very conspicuously put some white powder in there. Was the victim he saw the real victim or not? That doesn't matter. The fact remains, he saw the accused put the poison into the coffee. Phoenix is like this courtroom's personal culprit metal detector. How does he keep happening to find murderers among witnesses? I don't know, why are so many witnesses in this game so desperate to provide false testimony? In crimes they could easily be accused of on the stand. But, very impressive, Mr. Godot. Waiting for my absence to launch your attack. Found your pen at last, right? It was in my pocket. But anyway, Mr. Kudo witnessed two people that day. He saw the victim, the supposed Mr. Glenelg, and the waitress from behind. Yes, and your point, Mr. Wright? This is a strange world where lying is a normal social behavior and everyone dresses in a way that clearly expresses the 2 to 5 character traits they have. I think the conclusion is obvious. If this Glen Elg was really the killer in disguise, then surely it's possible the waitress was also part of the show. What? You mean the waitress was an imposter as well? The defendant, Miss Bird, fell unconscious immediately after the incident. And someone used her fainting to hatch an elaborate plan to pin the murder on her. Who on earth was it? Who was this waitress that Mr. Kudo witnessed? The only other girl in this case? Besides Lisa Basil? Yeah, who is this woman? Her name is Viola Cadaverini. She's an employee of Tender Lender. You was making a big mistake. Do you know who Violetta's grandfather is? You better be going home in an armored truck tonight if you know what I mean.
Stop shaking, Nick!
Where was I? Yes, the defendant, Miss Bird, has stated the following.
Well, when I took the coffee over to the victim's table, it's true there was another customer in the restaurant. She was sort of creepy. And she had a kind of cackling laugh.
There are just too many contradictions in this case. The second man at the victim's table, who nobody but Miss Bird seems to have seen. The earpiece worn by the victim in his left ear when that eardrum was ruptured. And the radio show he was supposedly listening to half an hour after it was over. There's only one logical explanation that clears up all of these contradictions. The whole incident took place twice. Once for real, and once for show. And Mr. Furio Tigre, the only person who could have committed the crime, is you! Witness? What have you got to say? That's cute. Sorry. He was alright. I could do with a guy like you around. What do you mean? Okay, I'm in on this game. I'm gonna have to charter a jet to get me to my meeting now, but I'm gonna give you one more thing to think about before I go. Something to think about? You's got it all wrapped up nice, huh? Right. But you's missed out on one real important thing. But that can't be. I was in the joint that day, and I met that kid too. But I couldn't have poisoned him, you see? What? Do you really expect us to believe you now, Mr. Tigray? What a troublemaker. Troublemaker? Understatement of the year. Looks like we're going to need another one for the road. One more steaming cup of hot testimony. Indeed. Witness, you will explain yourself to the court. I will give you one more chance to testify. What happened that day at 3 p.m. between yourself and the victim? Yeah, I loaned Elle cash. About $100,000. That day, we was due to have a little chat. The kid had hit his payback date, see? So anyway, he tells me he's got no way to pay up. I'm about to flatten the guy when he starts screaming. Yes, I won! $500,000! You got lucky, you know. Real lucky. If that waitress hadn't done what she done, everything would have been over. Now, I see that the principal amount you loaned to Mr. Elk was $50,000. Yeah, well, he's got the VIG to take into account. Interest builds up fast, you know. That's faster than fast. $100,000 is twice his principal. And the repayment deadline was December 3rd, the day of the incident in question. Yeah, he was one lucky kid. He got that $500,000 just in time. So I ain't have no reason to kill the kid. If I ain't got no motive, you ain't got no case. His motive? He has to have one, but what is it? Oh, we know this one. Okay, I loaned him cash. It was his payback date. He can't pay. Then he won $1 million. If that waitress hadn't done what she'd done, everything would have been over. The waitress? You mean... the girl with the glasses in the defendant's chair. Who else could I mean? If she hadn't gotten away, things would have been bada bing, bada boom, over and done with. Maybe I should push a little on this. Okay, ask how things would have been. What do you mean things would have been over and done with? You was all there or what? I'm talking about the cash. I was there to get my $100,000 back. That's all. I'm a businessman. It was all coming together before that waitress got in the way. As far as I can tell from the witness's testimony, other than recouping his loan, Mr. Tigray had no motive for killing the victim. Witness, you will amend your testimony to reflect what you just said. The tiger's motive, huh? I was after the $100,000. I didn't have no other reason to kill the guy. Except for the fact that you owe $1 million to the Cadaverini family. So you just intended to get back the $100,000 Mr. L owed you, correct? I loaned the guy the cash, so that's my right. Unfortunately for Mr. Elg, $100,000 wasn't enough to cover it, was it? Huh? About 6 months ago, you were involved in a traffic accident, weren't you? An accident involving a car and a scooter, in which a young woman was injured. She was taken to the hospital where she underwent surgery. When did you get all this info? These medical papers document the treatment of the young woman in question. According to these, her operation cost $1 million. Payment for these expenses was due in December of last year, and was paid in full. $1 million? A preposterous sum! Someone should sue those HMOs! No one would pay a bill like that. If the medical association got wind of it, the hospital would end up as dead as a morgue. But Mr. Tigre had no choice but to pay, because his very life depended on it. Order! You say his life depended on it, Mr. Wright? Indeed it did, simply because the injured woman was none other than Viola Cadaverini. Exclamation point. Did you say Cadaverini? Bruto Cadaverini, mob boss in charge of all underworld activities in the city, and I wear bat-wing platform boots and blouses with hime sleeves to get across the personality traits of being evil and gay. I applaud you for that. Doting grandfather to his precious Violetta, also known as Viola Cadaverini. Your life was in danger unless you paid compensation to the boss, correct? It makes sense. You were desperate to acquire the $1 million Cadaverini demanded of you. So desperate, in fact, that you decided to sacrifice Glen Elg's life to pay your debt. What do you say to that, witness? It's a nice little fairy tale, Trey. But even if the witness did need $1 million, that doesn't tie him to Mr. Elg's murder. Mr. Elg only owed him $100,000 and had no hope of repaying it anyway. Yeah, that guy wasn't worth my spit. I don't think so. In fact, the opposite is true. The opposite. Lending money with no hope of ever seeing repayment would normally be bad for business. But, in this case, the very fact that Glen Elg had no way to repay the money is crucial. What?
Do you know where you're going with this, Nick?
You've got to think outside the box, Maya.
Outside the box?
It's very straightforward. Mr. Tigre wasn't after the $100,000 at all. It seems you have a logical conclusion for this theory, Mr. Wright. Would you care to share it with us? What exactly was Mr. Tigre after? He was after... Shit, what is it? MC Bomber. Mr. Elg was Glen Elg was a programmer. A highly skilled programmer. That skill was the collateral Mr. Elg put up in order to borrow the money. Care to explain how skill can be used as collateral to secure a loan, Trey? He had the skill to create a computer virus, and so he did. A virus known as MC Bomber. A computer virus? What does one of those do? A computer virus is a program that wreaks havoc on the insides of a computer. A computer? What does one of those do? I guess the beard isn't the only part of his honor that is from the Stone Age. I'll explain it to you later, Your Honor. Right now, this is the important point. A virus like MC Bomber would be worth several $1 million on the black market. Mr. Tigre, you couldn't have cared less about the $100,000. Isn't that right? All you cared about was one thing. The virus. Good. Grrr. On the day of the murder, Mr. Tigre's sole intention was to get his hands on this CD. Glen Elg had no way of paying back the $100,000, and Mr. Tigre knew it. But then a miracle happened. The kind that Mr. Tigre would prefer to say never happened. But he can't, and neither can I. The lottery win? Exactly! At the 11th hour, Mr. Elg won $500,000 in the lottery, which left Mr. Tigre with no way of getting his hands on the all-important CD. At least, no legitimate way. And then he made the Italian fingers. As a sign of disrespect to Mr. Elg, who was of Italian descent. So he resorted to illegitimate means. That's crazy. He murdered Glenn Elg and then made his next move, to frame Maggie Bird for the crime. Mr. Tigre posed as Glenn Elg, while Viola Cadaverini played the role of Miss Bird. And then they reenacted the whole thing in order to establish a witness. The witness being the one we all heard testify yesterday, Mr. Victor Kudo. Like I said, Trey, that's crazy. No one could pull off a stunt like that. For starters, there's no way the chef could have been kept in the dark about it. But Mr. Armstrong was in on it from the very beginning. Have you forgotten already, Mr. Godot? Mr. Armstrong owed the witness money, too. $500,000, in fact. He had no choice but to go along with Mr. Tigre's plan. Silence, or I will quit. You've been on a good show, Spikey. If you want to stay alive in the loan shark business, you gotta be careful. That's the sound of him sticking out his tongue. You saying I dressed up like that kid, created a witness, and framed someone? If I did something crazy like that, I'd leave a trail as bright as my shirt. Are you dumb enough to do something sloppy like that? I agree. You do? Despite your appearance, you are very careful. That's why you took one more precaution. One more trick to make sure Ms. Bird had no way out. What? Another one, Mr. Wright? Interesting. Why don't you fill us all in, Trite? What was this trick you say Mr. Tigre performed to frame the accused? Oh, where is it? Where is my favorite little piece of evidence? The paper badge! What on earth is that? What an insult to think anyone could be fooled by such a childish imitation. Consider yourself insulted, Your Honor. Do you think the stress of everything that happened with the Cadaverinis gave Tigre jaundice? Unfortunately... What did it give him, like, Burton? Like, did it give him, like, Muppets jaundice? Because he looks more like an Ernie than just, like, a regular jaundiced individual. Mr. Tigre, you didn't just pose as the victim on the day in question. A month ago, in this very court, you posed as me! What? That's the truth. But the witness looks nothing like you, Mr. Wright. Ness? Oh no. Now that I think about it, it was you, wasn't it? No doubt it was you, standing in here, this very court, a mere month ago. The Phoenix Wright who put up the most disreputable, shabby defense I had ever seen. Can you prove that, Gramps? Pardon me. Prove the attorney who represented the accused here a month ago was this man? Are you prepared to take the stand and testify that it was him? Gulp. Hey. Forget about it, yeah. Oh my god, he's like almost Moe here. Like, the way his hair spikes are wilting and he's all like it's almost endearing. I wouldn't do something like that. That's not me. You made a mistake, right? It was someone else, huh? Objection! Fuck you! Have you no pride, sir? No, I have none. This isn't a matter of pride. In case you didn't know, right? Here in court, we deal with people's lives. Mr. Godot is right, Your Honor. Speaking for myself, I am absolutely convinced. The attorney in question was the witness standing before me now. However, I preside over this court as the judge, with the vested power to hand down a verdict. Someone in my position cannot be swayed by a memory without evidence to support it. No! Come on, Your Honor. If the defense has no further evidence, the court will now excuse the witness. The circumstances surrounding Mr. T. Gray are dubious for sure, but not conclusive.
But we've come so far!
You say he impersonated Glen Elk. You say he impersonated you. But none of that adds up to a murder charge. You don't have a shred of evidence that the witness poisoned the victim's coffee. Ugh! Sucks to be you, right? Don't mess with the tiger, or you're gonna get mauled. He's got that. All we managed to do here was chase him around a bit. But I was so close to getting him to admit his own guilt. Looks like I won't be needing a refill. If I just had one more piece of evidence. One more piece of evidence and maybe I could get Maggie off the hook. This witness's cross-examination is over. You are free to go, Mr. T. Gray. Hold it. Your Honor, sir? Yes! King! Wait! Detective! Detective Gumshoe! Sorry it took so long, pal. I staked everything on this. My badge, the works. So here it is. My heart's counting on this too. What is it, Detective? Isn't it obvious, pal? It's the final decisive piece of evidence. What? Sorry it took so long, pal, but I finally got the results from the lab. The results? About the prints, pal! From... Incredible power! From this medicine bottle.
Oh! So, do you know who the prints belong to now?
Do you think I'm some kind of hack detective? Of course I know.
So, tell us! They're the tigers, right? I knew it!
You bet. Clear as crystal all over the bottle. That Furio T. Gray's paw prints, alright.
That's great! We've got him now, Nick! What's wrong with you? You've hardly said a word since Detective Gumshoe got here. He's laid everything on the line for this, Nick.
I know. Look, I'm sorry. This is kind of hard to say, but it really doesn't make any difference whose prints are on that bottle now. Huh? What? Why not? What we need to produce at this stage in the trial is irrefutable evidence that the tiger put poison in Glen Elk's coffee. He's already admitted that he met the victim. The fact that his prints are on this bottle, that really doesn't make any difference now. Ugh. I knew it. Great. No matter how hard I try, I'm never of any use.
Hey, don't be so hard on yourself.
This is our last chance to help Maggie. Now I've been working on some useless piece of evidence the whole time. It's alright. I'm a real loser. It's not breaking news to me, pal. No! Gummy, please!
Detective Gumshoe? Maggie! You've been working on something for me?
Sorry I let you down, Maggie. I know you didn't do it. And I'm a detective. We're supposed to be able to prove stuff like that. I'm really sorry. I'll get out of your hair now.
Detective Gumshoe, wait!
He's gone.
Isn't there anything we can do now, Nick?
I wish there was. Gumshoe worked so hard to get that evidence. If only there was some way I could use it. Oh well, looks like it's back in the court record. Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor? I granted you a recess so you could prepare this decisive evidence you've discovered. Yes? Don't keep us all in suspense, Trite. Show us. Naturally. We can assume it's evidence that will actually stand up in court, can't we? Think, Phoenix. Don't let Gumshoe's hard work go to waste. How much more of my time are you gonna waste? I ain't been to no court before, but yous lawyers should know how to blow things out of proportion. No doubt, given the nature of the evidence, it will speak for itself. Nevertheless, you will talk us through it, Mr. Wright. Well, I know I can't prove anything new with this evidence. I'm really backed into a corner here. But maybe if he thinks he's got me beat, he'll let his guard down a bit. Don't keep us waiting any longer, Mr. Wright. Present this final, decisive piece of evidence to the court. Alright, I'm just gonna take a stab in the dark here and guess if it's the medicine bottle. This is the defense's final piece of evidence. Isn't that the victim's... Your Honor? Naturally, the court is already aware of the contents of this bottle. However, interesting new information has come to light. We have clearly identified some fingerprints on it. Fingerprints belonging to you, Mr. Tigre. What? But, Mr. Wright, what conclusion are you hoping to draw from this new information? Everyone in here knows what this bottle contains. Except one man. One person in this courtroom should theoretically be in the dark. My prints are on that pansy-looking bottle? Is that what you saying? Well, what the hell's in it anyway? A phony trial? A phony lawyer? And phony clues. Everything about this case has been phony. Seems like the perfect excuse for some phony evidence. Oh, so you're okay with forging evidence, huh, Mr. Wright? Mr. Tigre, this is a decisive piece of evidence that will prove your guilt. Why? Because it contains... potassium cyanide! This bottle contains... potassium cyanide! Potassium cyanide? The poison used to murder Mr. Elg, Your Honor. The victim's killer used this very bottle. And on this bottle, Mr. Tigre, we found your fingerprints. Well, how do you explain that? You'd make a good clown, you know that. What? Yous ain't never gonna get this to stick. Yous just making me laugh now. You think a cheap bluff like that's gonna fool the tiger? A bluff? I can see straight through you, Phoenix Wright. That ain't the bottle with the cyanide in it. No. This is the bottle we found traces of the poison in, wink wink. Don't mess with the tiger, you're gonna get ripped to shreds! The cyanide bottle was brown and it was made of glass! That cheap piece of trash! Don't look nothing like it! Oh. But how did you know what the cyanide bottle looked like? Uh-oh. Got him! At last! What? Why's everyone gone quiet? I said that bottle... Is this the bottle you're referring to? Yeah, that's it. That's the bottle the cyanide was in. But you ain't gonna find my prints on that bottle. Don't let that cozy-looking suit fool you, people. Alloy is just playing games. Tell him, Mr. Prosecutor. Tell that guy where... No. Tell him, Mr. Prosecutor. Tell that guy where to go. You still haven't figured it out? Don't you realize what you just said? What I said? What did I just say? You were summoned to this court for the first time earlier today. If you really had nothing to do with the murder, you shouldn't have known all the little details. For instance, you shouldn't have known what kind of bottle the potassium cyanide was in. But just now, you slipped up in front of every single person in this courtroom. You described the exact bottle used by the killer to hold the poison. You don't know who you's messing with. I'm the Tiger. I control millions of dollars on the black market. You think I'm gonna let some jumped-up suit get the better of me? Sure. The last piece of evidence was phony. But that's just what you deserve. A phony trial with a phony lawyer. It was all played out by you, the biggest phony of all. Alright, calm down, Holden Caulfield. Okay, I can't follow through with that. Oh my god, he's turning into black and white! What's going on? It looks like a blackout. God damn it, not more foreshadowing. Well done, Trite. I saved my 17th cup of coffee just for you. Hey, savor it. While you watch the police restrain your prey. I guess that was number 17, somehow. Mr. Wright, you caught a tiger by his toe, but if this one hollers, he won't be let go. And now then, how are things going with Mr. Tigre, Mr. Godot? He's being arrested on suspicion of the murder of Glen Elk, Your Honor. Fortunately for us, we managed to rectify a very grave error. Miss Bird was found guilty in the absence of a genuine defense attorney. Yes, she was. And in the absence of genuine evidence. But the tiger made one mistake. Indeed. He very nearly got away with everything if it wasn't for that one slip of the tongue. Furio Tigre is a truly frightening criminal. A truly frightening one is that defense attorney over there. Godot. Well, I am now in a position to deliver my verdict. This court finds the defendant, Maggie Bird. That was perfect timing! That was excellent, thank you.
Very good, Descolet.
That is all. This court is adjourned. Mr. Wright, I'm at a loss for words. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations, Maggie.
I was so mad when Mr. Wright landed me in all that trouble a month ago, but now I feel like I can forgive him. Hey, that wasn't me, Maggie. That was the tiger.
Look, Nick, in the doorway.
Detective Gumshoe. Oh, I guess I'll be heading off then. See you around, pal. Well, wait. Yes?
Detective Gumshoe?
Oh, yeah. Congratulations, Maggie.
Thanks.
I knew you were innocent all along.
Why didn't you say that in your testimony, then?
Huh? Oh, well, I was... Well, guess I'll be heading off then. See you around. Wait up, detective! He just ran off.
Maggie, why are you being so hard on him? He busted his butt for you. It's thanks to him that we got the medication bottle. That wasn't of any use. But it's only because Mr. Wright used it so cleverly. Detective Gumshoe was just running around in circles.
Poor guy. Looks like she still isn't ready to forgive him.
Can't you put in a good word for him, Nick?
Yeah, Maya's right. I should help Gumshoe out. It's clear he needs it. Maggie? You know, Detective Gumshoe's been really worried about you through all of this. I wanted to believe that, sir. But on that first day of the trial, he practically gave the judge a free pass to lock me up. He didn't have any choice, Maggie. He's a detective. He has to report the facts. He doubted me, that's why. He thought I might have done it. I've got to prove to her that Gumshoe really cares about her. I know. I'll give her a little present to celebrate her freedom. Any guess what that is? Take that! Here you are. A present to celebrate your freedom. That's... a present from Detective Gumshoe. Made with a ton of love.
He said you lost weight and he was worried about you.
Detective Gumshoe? I actually really like weenies, you know.
Did you guys hear that? I'm pretty hungry myself, you know.
Yeah, the trial dragged on a bit today, didn't it?
Is it okay if I eat this now? So, how is it, Maggie?
It's fucking good. It's like, those weenies are so delicious, they're bringing her to tears. So the case of phony versus genuine comes to an end. The false allegations surrounding Maggie have been all cleared up. And who knows? Maybe a whole new chapter of her life is about to start. As a cameo character in Ace Attorney Investigations. Alright, so that's that case all wrapped up. I quite enjoyed it this time around. I don't think my throat did, though. So, next time, we will be going into another flashback case with Mia at the helm. It's going to be a bit shorter, and seeing as it's a Friday, I was thinking about finally doing another movie stream. So, next Friday we'll do Turnabout Beginnings, which is only like... It's only like two court sections, and then that's it. Because it's really just setting up for the last one, which is super long. But I was thinking of doing a movie stream after that through Tutoroo. I've been planning on doing Wolverine for a while, but I'm open to other suggestions. Just because Wolverine tied into a game I was streaming before. But I will take any and all suggestions when the time comes. Wolverine will be more of a, not quite a hate watch, but more of a, like, let's all make fun of this movie kind of thing. Because that was pretty much the same situation with me streaming that game. Anyway, I need to stop talking right now. I hope everyone had a good time. I really appreciate everyone for coming to the stream, and I will see you on Friday, and my throat is about to give out, so I will see you next time. Good night, everyone.